After a car crash, I woke up as the ex-husband of the female CEO from some trashy romance novel. Remembering how badly the original guy ended up, I grabbed that divorce agreement and signed my name right then and there. The CEO's face went dark, instantly. Tyler, are you absolutely sure about this? My heart skipped a beat and I immediately covered my wallet. Are you kidding me? This is a massive settlement. There is no way I am giving back a single penny after 3 days lying in that hospital bed. I finally came to terms with the reality that I had transmigrated a regular college dude dropped into some over-the-top CEO romance story as the villain ex-husband. The guy had money and connections and absolutely no limits. He fell for the female lead Sophie at the freshman orientation, and from that point on chased her relentlessly and used every trick in the book to force her into marrying him. Sophie Chen, your classic campus romance female lead from a poor background but smart and beautiful. Father disabled, mother with kidney failure. To cover her family's medical bills, she had no choice but to give in and marry him. Over 5 years of marriage, she went from a nobody office worker to a rising star in the business world, and as time went on, things between us only got worse. Sophie gradually slipped out of his control, and he had no clue. Just kept pushing his luck until one day he shoved her childhood sweetheart down the stairs. Sophie finally hit her limit and asked for a divorce. That is when he got into the car crash, and Sophie only came to see him on day 3. She just tossed the divorce papers at him, and her voice was ice cold. Every inch of her face screamed impatience and disgust. Tyler, are you done with your little tantrum? Even so, the moment I caught a clear look at her face, my heart still thumped hard. Cannot blame the original guy for going crazy. That face is genuinely stunning. I glanced at the divorce agreement and saw what I was entitled to. My heart practically stopped. Holy crap, I just hit the jackpot. Sure, the original guy's family had money, but he was a spoiled, reckless mess. With a younger brother who outshined him in every way, there was no chance of inheriting the company. But Sophie had built her empire in just a few years, and her assets were seriously impressive. The divorce settlement would be absolutely insane. I spent a whole life doing good deeds. Ending up with this kind of payback is honestly fair enough once I finished calculating my cut. I kept my excitement in check, terrified my lips might curl into a smile, and tipped Sophie off that something was different. Then I took a deep breath and said, I agree to the divorce. Sophie froze. She clearly did not expect me to agree so easily, but strike while the iron is hot. Opportunity only knocks once before she could even snap out of it. I scrawled my signature all over the divorce papers. Sophie seemed to sense something was off. Her brow furrowed and I turned my head and said with all the resignation I could fake, I have thought it through. Sophie, let us just set each other free. After that, I was quiet for a good while, right as I was about to lie back down and count my future balance again. I noticed Sophie was silently staring at the divorce papers with zero intention of leaving. I asked, puzzled, are you still not leaving? That guy Nathan is probably not fully recovered yet, should you not be checking on him? Sophie's expression suddenly went cold and I felt a little uneasy. Was this woman regretting giving me so much money, but my signature was already on there? She could not back out even if she wanted to, and besides, given how gracious I was being right now, she owed me that money. Sophie had a guy named Nathan she loved back in college. Unlike the arrogant rich kid, Nathan was gentle, understanding, and ambitious. He came from a single-parent home and grew up without much, but he worked incredibly hard and excelled in every way. In a sense, he and Sophie were cut from the same cloth. Only he truly understood her. Sophie considered him her soulmate. Without the original guy, they would have naturally ended up together. Then, after graduation, built their lives in this city and created a happy home of their own. In the original story, Tyler was consumed with jealousy toward Nathan, always making his life difficult. Picking fights constantly, and in the end even snapped and got physical, which made Sophie completely done with Tyler and cut him off for good. Anyone with a brain could figure out that picking a fight with both the male and female lead would end absolutely horribly for a villain like me, so best to grab the money and disappear now. Sophie eventually slammed the door on her way out and I patted my chest, muttering under my breath quite a temper on her. But thinking about all that money coming my way, I cheered right back up. This kind of windfall does not fall into just anybody's lap. Right as I was thinking that, my phone buzzed with a WeChat from Vivian. Her message was dripping with sarcasm, so Sophie finally dragged herself over to see you today, huh? This was my childhood friend, a spoiled and pampered princess. Her idea of ambition was mastering food, drinks, and fun. She looked down on Sophie, and Sophie looked down on her, and the two were totally at odds. Especially after my marriage to Sophie brought our families into more contact. Her grandfather compared her to Sophie more than once, which made Vivian resent Sophie even more. She called me whipped and was always dragging me to dig wild herbs in her family's garden. This time she was obviously here to watch me crash and burn, but I did not care. I was busy celebrating my windfall. Who had time to mope? I thought about it for a second, then just snapped a photo of the divorce papers and sent it over. As of today, I am single, take me out to dinner. Vivian called immediately, and her first words were, have you lost your mind, girl? You are so harsh. Once I am out of the hospital, we are going to the courthouse to make it official. Lucky the crash was not that serious. Just bumped my head. Are you not going to say something nice? Vivian went quiet for a moment, then suddenly laughed. Fine. Then Mr. Tyler Chen, what kind of celebration did you have in mind? A week later, I walked out of the hospital looking sharp in an expensive suit, and Vivian stood there slow clapping. Look at you getting all dressed up just to leave a hospital. I clicked my tongue. What do you know? Today is a special day. Vivian could not be bothered. She turned and walked toward the exit and ran right into Sophie. Sophie's gaze landed on me for just a moment, her expression cool and unreadable. I walked over and flashed her a grin. Hey there, where's your car? Sophie's expression softened just slightly. Parking lot, let's go. Vivian immediately was not having it. She tilted her head and narrowed her eyes at me. Tyler, you are not riding with me. I waved her off. Sophie and I need to stop by the courthouse first to get the divorce finalized. Her car is more convenient. As I said that, I nudged Sophie, who had gone completely rigid. What are you standing there for? Let's go. Vivian burst out laughing. Fair enough, this is kind of urgent. Do not hold things up. Sophie gave a cold smirk. Tyler, you really cannot wait to cut ties with me, can you? I said honestly, it is more that you have plans tonight. I figured we might as well get this done so I do not waste your time. Sophie was always slammed with work. She barely came home even on a good day. I knew she hated being around me, and honestly, I had no interest in dragging things out either. We go our separate ways and live our best lives. Sounds perfect to me. The courthouse was not too crowded and we were called up before long. Just as Sophie and I were about to go in, her phone suddenly rang. I caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. It was Nathan. Sophie stepped aside to answer. I could faintly hear her voice go soft and gentle. I am still out dealing with something. She had never once spoken to me in that tone. This marriage was forced from the very start. 5 whole years of butting heads constantly, and we could barely manage to sit through a meal together. Let alone that kind of warmth. The clerk called out twice. Are you two doing this or not? I shook my head, and felt a tiny flicker of pity for the original guy. He meant absolutely nothing to Sophie. Sophie, I called out to her. Can we take care of my thing first? Sophie always put Nathan first. The original guy argued and fought for it, but she never budged. The original guy was an idiot thinking he could ever compete with Nathan. That was just asking for pain, and Sophie should do me first anyway. Then she could openly be with her beloved Nathan. Sophie's expression snapped with surprise, and then she said into the phone, "Have Dr. Jang take a look at you first. I will be there soon, 20 minutes later." I stood there holding a freshly stamped divorce certificate with tears in my eyes. It is done. My massive settlement is finally in my hands starting today. Travel, drinks, eat, drink, and be merry. Live like a happy man. I turned to Sophie with the most sincere look I could muster. Sophie, thank you truly, thank you for the money. Hope to never see you again. I barely stepped outside. When I spotted Vivian, she had pulled up in the most obnoxious red Ferrari imaginable. The thing was impossible to miss. I strutted over with a spring in my step. Bro is loaded, bro. I was about to spend some serious cash. From behind me came Sophie's slightly stilted voice, and I spun around quickly. Something else, Ms. Chen. Sophie's lips pressed tight together. Her expression unreadable. If the original guy had seen her looking this visibly off, he would have grilled her relentlessly. But I was already done pretending. Nothing, I will get going. Then I picked up the pace. A side character like me staying as far away from the leads as possible is the only path to happiness. As Vivian's car pulled away, I glanced at the rearview mirror. Sophie was standing there with people passing all around her. She looked strangely alone, no more troublemaker clinging to her. She must finally feel free. Vivian shot me a sideways glance. Missing her already, I said with pure excitement. Keep the cute girls at your spot available for me, okay? Vivian was completely speechless. I genuinely wasted my concern. I thought you were so in love with her. And then the second you divorce her, you are walking around grinning ear to ear. Is it that obvious? I flipped down the passenger mirror and took a good look. 28 years old. Sure, I had suddenly aged 10 years, but at least the face was sharp and good looking. And most importantly, loaded. I thought about it and offered an explanation. She never loved me, so I might as well stop loving her too. At the red light, Vivian turned and stared at me for a long moment, until I started to feel genuinely creeped out, and then she said with an unreadable tone, "This car crash seriously changed you." I calmly shrugged. Maybe when you stare death in the face, you just stop sweating the small stuff. Vivian paused, then laughed. Fair point, I am buying tonight. 2 hours later, Vivian regretted it. Her face was dark and her jaw was tight. She thought I meant drinks. I meant the girls at the spot. Well, the ladies, I raised my glass toward Vivian. "Come on, drink with your boy," and then I patted her shoulder, gesturing at all the pretty girls around us. "Look at them. Your boy is charming and fun. Any one of them beats my ex. There are so many beautiful women in this world, and hey, she is rich and gorgeous herself. Why was I stuck on one person?" Vivian scoffed. "You are finally waking up." A slender girl came over to pour my drink. "Adorably sweet about it, big brother. Try this one." "Oh yeah, sure." I was about to happily take it when Vivian snatched it right out of my hands. "No mixing drinks. You just got out of the hospital. I am not calling an ambulance for you later." Then she gave the girl a look. The girl's face went pale immediately and she bowed her head apologizing. "I am so sorry, I did not know you." I waved it off generously. "It is fine, it is fine. Big brother is in a great mood tonight." And then I grinned at Vivian. "Seriously though, typical double standard. Rules for thee but not for me when your little boyfriends pour drinks down your throat. You are all smiles but I cannot have any." Vivian laughed. Despite herself, there's zero comparison here. "How is there no comparison? I am single now." "I want to do whatever I want," Vivian suddenly asked. "Oh wait, does your family know yet?" I froze. "Oh shoot, completely forgot about that." Before I could even say anything, Vivian gave me that all-knowing look. "Knew you were too scared to tell them the original guy and his family were not exactly close. His parents were rigid and old-fashioned and favored his younger brother, and he was rebellious. When he pushed to marry Sophie, things got seriously ugly at home. Then when Sophie's career took off, the family did a complete 180 and kept blaming him every time he and Sophie had a fight. Honestly, this villain had never had it easy either. But hey, I have the divorce certificate in hand, so what do I have to be afraid of?" The days that followed were even better than I imagined. I had the housekeeper pack up all of Sophie's things and ship them out. This villa was originally bought by the original guy's parents as the couple's home, but Sophie never liked staying here. Probably because every corner of this place was a reminder of the humiliation the original guy put her through. In the beginning, she spent most nights at the office, and later, once her career exploded, she bought an apartment near work, and he went there once, and happened to walk in on Nathan, which Nathan immediately explained, saying he was only there because he got caught in the rain and needed somewhere to wait. But with the original guy's temper, there was no way he was not going to lose it. The two of them got into a massive blowout and did not speak for a month. And in the end, it was the original guy who caved because Sophie was all he had in his eyes and his heart. But now this massive 3-story luxury villa is all mine. Sophie barely had much stuff here, but after clearing it all out, I still felt like something was missing. So I headed straight to the mall and started pointing at everything I wanted. This one, and that one, wrap up everything else too. Of course, Mr. Chen, the store manager, was practically glowing. A few staff members trailed behind carrying my bags, and then I walked right into Sophie on the way out. She looked startled to see me, and then I spotted Nathan walking just behind her. Looked like his leg had healed up well enough to be out at the mall. Sophie's lips moved and she spoke first. "His mom's birthday is coming up. I just brought him to pick out a gift." I blinked. "Why are you telling me this?" I could not care less. Out of politeness, I gave a brief nod, but before I could take a step to leave, Nathan spoke up too, his expression a bit apologetic. "Tyler, sorry about this. My leg is still a bit rough." So I asked Sophie to drive me. "I see you bought a lot of stuff. That looks like a lot to carry. Want Sophie to give you a lift?" "I am totally fine on my own now. Listen to how that man talks." That reminded Sophie it was his fault she was there, hinting that I should not be jealous while generously offering Sophie up to help me. I smiled and said, "No need. My car is downstairs. Besides something like this, I would rather not trouble Ms. Chen." Nathan paused. "What?" I also looked at Sophie with exaggerated surprise. "Ms. Chen, have you not told Nathan yet that we are already divorced?" Nathan stared at Sophie in complete shock and Sophie's jaw tightened. Her complexion was not great. "I do not like broadcasting personal matters." "Oh, so that was a subtle dig at me. I just threw a couple of divorce parties." "Why is that such a big deal?" Nathan also seemed blindsided. He opened his mouth, struggling to process this bombshell. Sophie, you and Tyler already, why did you not tell me? Hearing his voice, Sophie suddenly remembered he was standing right there. After a brief pause, she said quietly, "Been really busy lately." Funny, she always used that line on me, never thought the tables would turn. And Nathan of all people would get that same treatment, but the male lead and the villain play by different rules. For Nathan, this was the best news he had heard in his life. His gaze swept between me and Sophie a few times. And then he said in a seemingly apologetic tone, "Sorry about that. I did not know, I did not bring it up on purpose. Tyler, hope you are not upset." "I am not upset at all. She is a woman I have no connection to anymore. You two enjoy your shopping. The girls on staff here are carrying my bags, and they are pretty heavy." Sophie suddenly said, "Hold on, I turned back. Is there something else, Miss Chen?" Sophie's brow creased. She was clearly not used to the sudden shift in how I was treating her. "Mom mentioned you have not been to see her in a while." Sophie's voice went quieter, like she found it hard to ask but had no choice. "If you have time, go visit her." She was referring to her mother who had kidney failure. Unlike Sophie, her mother had always adored me, because Sophie never told her that she had been pressured into the marriage. In the old woman's eyes, I was this wealthy young man who did not mind Sophie's humble background, and was completely devoted to her daughter, so of course she had nothing but good things to say about me. Early in the marriage to win Sophie over, I made a point of looking after her mother and winning the old woman's affection. I knew this was my last card to play because Sophie was filial, and because of that, she was unlikely to just blow things up with me over it, but I had put my hands on Nathan, which crossed her absolute line, and I threw away my last trump card. I thought it over and agreed all right tomorrow then. The old woman never did anything wrong.